Here's a cucumber update for you. We had a lot of heavy rain late last night, early this morning, like 4 a.m. And it kind of beat down the cucumbers a little bit, but the cucumber leaves are getting big and wide anyway, so that water on them was holding them down. Now, the gardener will tell me that we don't need to trellis our cucumbers, but everything I read says you don't want them touching the ground at all. So we're gonna take this opportunity. I spent $6 at Lowe's. Instead of buying a $25 cage or trellis, $6 on some dowel rods, and we're just going to trellis these things up real quick. And we're also going to use those dowel rods, bits and pieces of them, to shape the direction of our summer squash and our spaghetti squash, because it's starting to seep all through the garden. So we're going to direct it out into the yard. So here we go. All right, so here's the area in question. These are the cucumbers. You can see how they're starting to lay down. They got big old leaves on them. Right there, you can see that is a summer squash, or excuse me, a spaghetti squash that's now creeped over here. Man, everything is looking nice and green this morning, other than that strawberry plant just looks pathetic. Yeah, so here we go. Let's try and get these things up off the ground and train our squash to go out into the yard. So here's what I got, very important items. Saw, some dowel rods. Like I said, I spent about $6 on the dowel rods. Some zip ties and some string. I'm not going to zip tie the plants. I'm going to string them if I need to, but the zip ties are going to be to hold the dowel rods together. And by the way, this workbench right here is also my live bird feeder cam, which you can see Central Standard Time, usually around 9 a.m. and around 5 p.m. So check that one out because there's always live. Here we go. All right, let's take a look here and see what we got going on. So I got 2 small diameter dowel rods. Those will be for the horizontal, and then I got some thicker ones that'll be for the actual posts. So what I want to do is I want to get these up. So let's just position them. You know, I might be able to cheat off of that hole right there. So let's do this. Oh, I might be able to cheat off of this as well. Hold on, we might be cheating all over the place here. Let's do this. Let's put one in the middle. Okay, here we go. And then I got to go grab my zip ties. Hold on a second, because these are going to be the shelves that are going to go about this height. So I can zip tie those together, just like that. Okay, bingo. Let's give it a shot. This shouldn't take more than a couple minutes. Alrighty, let's see here. Try not to kneel in the mud or mess up any of my current leaves. Pretty simple. I hope you can see this, but just gonna zip tie it right together. We can adjust it a little bit. I don't need to zip tie that side, but here we go. Let's see. I need to move it down a little bit. That's necessary for sure. Let's go down farther. This has got to keep stuff up off of the... Got to keep the leaves off the ground, because leaves touching the ground equals disease, generally. I'm going to use some string on this one just to guide it this direction, I think. Maybe I'll just move my post a little bit farther this direction. Let's see here. There we go, right there. Watch out, tomatoes. There we go. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to have to use some string, but that's okay. Doesn't bother me at all. Let's put this back down right next to our pepper plant here. Let's go a little lower, like I said. Pepper plant getting overtaken by the squash, which we're going to have to try and divert here in a minute. Here's an update for you as well. As I just noticed when I was going to move some of the squash vines to go out into the yard, we got a summer squash growing. Oh yeah. So there's our pepper. I'm gonna put it on this side. There we go. I know you can't see anything from the top like my view is right now, but let's move this out of the way a little bit. Hopefully we don't break it. Man, there's a lot of runners going on here. And we're gonna push it out. We're gonna push it out, so let's do this. Let's push it using a stake. There we go. There we go. And I may have to prune these down a little bit because it is literally just, it's blanking the sun out from my pepper plants, that's for sure. Pepper plants have seen better days. I learned a lesson, by the way. I tried to fit too much stuff into one. Hey Evie girl, what's up? Into one planter. So next year, this will be 2 planters with probably the same amount of plants, just spread out further. So we're gonna string these up, so to speak. I'm gonna bring this one down farther, down farther. We're gonna have to move this over to here just to stake that plant up a little bit. There we go. There we go. This one I gotta be careful of because it's going all that direction. I don't want to break it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of these and cut it. So this is gonna have its own trellis. So work with me on this. Watch out, here we go. Let's see here. Right about there. There we go. And then we'll do it like this. And I'm not even gonna cut this one. I'm just gonna slide it through here underneath so that everything's off the ground. Come on, baby, get off the ground. I'm gonna move it back a little bit. There we go. There we go. This also helps with airflow underneath your plants, which I've heard is a big deal. I don't know that much about it. I'm talking like I know, but all I know is what I read. And if you remember back in the day, reading is fundamental. There you go. So there we go. Try and do this video all in one take. What do you think about that? Dang, it's almost like I know what I'm doing here. Here we go. Up. Everything is up in between. Kind of sandwich them there a little bit. There we go. Come on, guys. Let's get you off the ground. Off the ground. There we go. There we go. Okay. I'm going to bring you over here to show you how janky this looks, but it looks like it's going to work for a little under $6, or a little under $7, I should say. Let me clear all of my stuff out here, make sure I pick up my pinwheels. I will tell you that the issues we had with squirrels and birds have been gone since I put that bird feeder in. Look at those carrots. Man, the squash is just taking off. If I'd have read a little bit more about squash, I probably would have had one of these beds just for squash, so they just don't smother everything out. I'm probably gonna have to prune these leaves so that pepper plant just doesn't get, you know, shaded out and die. But okay, here we go. Now we got all of our cucumbers off the ground, and I can adjust this up, or I can add another dowel rod to it. I obviously bought 3 more than I needed, but using one in the middle here and then running the dowel rod across to the tomato cage, looks like I've got my problem solved there. So we'll see what the gardener thinks when she comes over. But man, that rain last night, look, I mean, I'm talking about, I honestly feel like when I look at the tomato plants, especially the beefsteak tomatoes here with the buds and all of the squash, every time it rains, they grow 3 inches overnight. But again, we'll see how successful we are once we start getting some fruit and vegetables. The carrots, just to give you an update, I thinned them out a little bit yesterday, but it may not be thin enough. We'll see. It's the first time with carrots. We'll see how that goes. We don't expect to get that many because it's a one-time harvest. So that's it. I'm standing over here in the shade. So just remember, keep your cucumber plants, as far as the leaves go, your tomato plants, all that stuff, off of the ground because that's where the disease comes from. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Catch you on the next one.